Hello and welcome to today's episode, which is all about finding creative ways of using tempeh. If you haven't come across it before, tempeh is like a thick, dense cake kind of thing, made from soybeans quite often, although you can use other types of pulses with it. The beans are all bound together using Rhizopus oligosporus, which is a type of mold. I've bought this one from the shop, but I have made it myself before. I'll pop some links in the description for you if you want to have a go at making your own. Normally I just slice tempeh, marinate it and fry it, either in the air fryer or in the wok. So I've been thinking, what else can I do with it? So I've kind of deconstructed the idea in my mind, and I thought, well, I'll put tempeh on the top of something as a kind of crust lid kind of thing. What can I put underneath it? So I've settled on doing a great big garlic mushroom. I went to the Yorkshire Sculpture Park a couple of days ago for my mum's birthday. It's one of my favourite places on the earth. It's like this big open park, part of like a country estate, and then it's just got these mad sculptures dotted around. It's just incredible. Sometimes there's sheep. It's one of those places you go and it kind of lifts your soul, makes everything feel a bit more bearable. We went to the cafe there and she had a mushroom that was topped with risotto, and that kind of fed this idea. So I'm going to do some large mushrooms slathered with garlic butter, and then we'll pop the tempeh on top of that and then bosh it in the air fryer. I'm also going to show you how to make tabbouleh, which is it's like a side salad, I guess. Classically it's made with bulgur wheat, which I think is like wheat grains that have been cracked, so it's large pieces. And then it's lots of parsley, fresh herbs, that kind of thing, lemon, olive oil, that sort of thing. I'm going to cheat and use couscous in mine because it's faster, whereas you've got to boil bulgur wheat on the stove. With couscous, you just put hot water in it and then just leave it. So I'm going to get that on first because then it can cool back down a little bit. This is the couscous, this is it uncorked. Now couscous is technically a pasta. It's something that's been manufactured rather than just being a pure grain. It's made from grain, but it doesn't grow like that. It's made just like a pasta is. The ratio you need is 1 part couscous to 1 part hot water. So I'm going to do 3 of these, which is about 120 grams. Do I want 3 or do I want 2? Yeah, let's do 3. Use the same ramekin to do 3 of water. It's around 110 mils, but I wouldn't use measurements, just use the same thing. Just give it a stir. I typically add a little splash extra. I just find it gets it a bit fluffier. So if I was doing one of those, I'd do like an extra half tablespoon, something like that. So there we go, just want to make sure everything's wet. And then I'm going to cover the bowl with some plastic, trap all of the steam in, and we can just leave that, and that will cook in about 5 minutes, it's ready. So I'll just let that do its thing, and then I'll fork through it to fluff it up and then let it cool down. I'm going to make the garlic butter next to put in the inside of the mushrooms, just because then that can be infusing a little bit. The flavours can kind of penetrate the butter. I'm doing 45 to 50 grams ish of vegan butter. Nothing needs to be exact here. I'm just cutting a piece off the block. Not sure if it's the same in the States, but in the UK, butter packets have got little measurements on them, so you can just cut 25-gram pieces off. I'm going to crush in 4 small cloves of garlic. Use as little or as much garlic as you want. So I'm just going to pop them in the garlic press and squidge them through. If you haven't got the garlic press, feel free to mince it by hand, or you can even grate it. And if you don't have fresh garlic, go ahead and use garlic powder. I've got maybe a tablespoon or so of chopped flat leaf parsley. And then I'm going to add some fresh chive in as well. I'm going to do a little touch of black pepper, same of salt, and then just mash that in with a fork. It's best to do this with room temperature butter, just because it makes it a bit easier to work with. But if you've forgotten to take out the fridge, I'll stick the link to a video in the description, which will show you how to soften it in the microwave. That's the butter all mixed in. I'm just going to put it into a smaller bowl. I hadn't actually meant to make it in this. So I'll just leave the butter there and it can just develop the garlicky, herby flavour and just be amazing. If you can find it in the shop, you could definitely use like a garlic and herb cream cheese. That would be incredible in here as well. I think Boursin might have released a vegan version of their soft cheese. If I can ever find some, I will give it a try and update the pinned comment, because I think that would just be delicious. Onto the mushrooms. I'm going to do mine in the air fryer, but feel free to do it in the oven if you haven't got one. So it's fine, it's the same thing. I've lined the basket with some baking parchment. I haven't cooked mushrooms like this in the air fryer, I don't think. And when I cook mushrooms on the stove, they release a lot of water. So I'm just thinking, rather than having to really scrape the bottom of the air fryer pan, just to line it a little bit to make it a bit easier. Because I've not done this before, I'm having to this is a bit of guesswork really. So I think I'm going to cook the mushrooms on their own for maybe 10 minutes at 180, then pull them out and put the tempeh on, butter and tempeh, because I just don't want to put the tempeh on them while they're raw, because the tempeh might burn before the mushroom's cooked, and I don't want like a partially cooked mushroom because the texture is just not very pleasant. I want a really juicy kind of mushroom. Those are the 4 mushrooms that I'm going to use. The label says flat white mushrooms, so you can use field mushrooms. Portobellos would be amazing if you can get them. They've just got a bit more flavour. I'm going to cover the outside in olive oil, salt and pepper. I like using a speed pourer for doing things like this because it's just a bit more precise than trying to drizzle it through the bottle. I know you can put your thumb over, but I mean, I'm clumsy, let's face it. Drizzle each one with some oil and then rub that in. Maybe rub it in one at a time because it's sinking in. And we'll do a little salt and pepper over the top of them all. And I'll tuck the mushrooms into the basket, doing them stem side down. The inside part will cook a little bit because it'll get heat from underneath. Once I put the topping on, I'm going to flip them over. I'll put these in at 180 for about 10 minutes, I think, and then we'll see how we're looking. I'm going to check the couscous, give it a fork through, and you'll hopefully be able to see the difference of when it went in. So I'm just going to go through. It's good to do it with a fork because the tines kind of separate it. I might not use all of this for the tabbouleh, but it reheats really well. I think I've frozen it before in the past as well. So you can see how much you get. It's you get a phenomenal amount. It's a really good one. Apart from boiling the kettle, it doesn't need any energy to cook it. You know, you're not having to boil any water on the stove or anything for a while. Whereas the bulgur wheat, I think it has to be cooked for like 20 minutes on the stove. Try and hold it up to the camera a little bit for you so you can see how big the grains get. You know, at least doubles in size, if not triples. So I'm just covering it back up with the cling film and I'll put it to the side, ready for when I'm about to start the tabbouleh. I'm going to make up the tempeh topping, so I'm just going to crumble it into the bowl. I'm just going to reuse the butter bowl without cleaning it. You know, extra flavour, why not? So there's the tempeh block, so you can kind of see the beans a little bit, and then it's all bound together by the rhizopas mould, so all the mycelium link together and form like a really tight network. So yeah, it sounds minging, but it's, I promise you, it's delicious. It's very nutty, kind of a light flavour, but it takes, you know, you can then add tons of flavour to it. So that's the kind of crumbly texture of it. So I'm just going to break that down into kind of crumbles. So I did a similar technique to this when I made some little tarts. So I made some like a mushroom based mixture, lined a tart case with it, and then popped a tempeh topping on top of the mushrooms. I flavoured it with tomato ketchup and barbecue sauce. If you get any dark spots on the tempeh, don't worry, it's harmless, it's not going to hurt you or anything. I'm just going to have a look at the mushrooms real quick. You can see how juicy they are. Yeah, I think that's going to be good to go. Oh, they've shrunk considerably. I'm going to add some flavour into here. I'm going to add some pine nuts. They've just got a delicious flavour to them. They're very fatty. You can toast them off separately if you want as well. Got some finely chopped fresh sage. Sage is quite a punchy one, so I only did 4 leaves, so it's about half a teaspoon. Got a little bit of vegan parmesan there. I'm going to put all of that in, so I'm just going to grate that straight into the bowl. Because tempeh's got a very neutral flavour to it, you can start packing all kinds of different tastes and take it into different styles. So, you know, curry or Italian, Mexican, you know, all kinds of different flavours because it's a very neutral base. Good amount of black pepper, some salt. Not too much salt because the parmesan's salty. Guzzle of oil, not tons because the cheese is fatty, the pine nuts are fatty, and then it's going on top of garlic butter. But I just want a little bit of oil to kind of lubricate things if it sticks together. And then just mix that together. So then I'll kind of pack that as best I can on top of the mushrooms. Probably put like that kind of amount on the mushroom. Okay, so I'm going to start stuffing the mushrooms. I think I'm going to put them on some scraps of baking paper just to make it easier to lift them out, because once I've got the stuff on there, it might just be a bit of a nightmare trying to pick them up and move them around. I'm going to remove the stalk just because that's taking up a lot of room that I'd rather have filling. So I'm going to very gently pull it away, scatter it with a bit of garlic butter. I think I've got way too much garlic butter, but you know, you can smear that on bread and then you've got, you know, a great little garlic bread. And then go in with the tempeh mixture. So pack that on, see what we can get in there. If I had more parmesan, I'd do a fresh grate over the top of it, but unfortunately I don't, so I can't do that. So I'm going to pop that back into the air fryer and work on the next one. So that's the amount of mixture I've got left over. So I might even just compress that down into like a little fritter burger type thing and just air fry that another day. So there's the little mushrooms. So I'm going to pop this in the air fryer. The mushrooms are in the air fryer 160. I've done it for 8 minutes and then we'll check it and then take it from there. onto the tabbouleh. I've taken out some of the couscous because it was just a bit too much, because I want lots and lots of veggies in there. So the more couscous is in there, the more veg you have to put in. I'm going to use 3 spring onions, scallions, green onions, whatever you want to call them / use. So you can see these ones are very dark green, whereas they're not too bad. And you can see how kind of ridged that is. So yeah, it's just a bit fibrous. So I'm going to chop that out, take the very ends off those, and then just dice that down. And I'll just go through that a few more times just to get the pieces smaller. I'm going to cut some cherry tomatoes into quarters. Like that. I'll just keep chopping until I get sick of it. And then I've got maybe 10-15 grams of flat leaf parsley. So I'm just going to chop that down quite fine again. I'm doing stems as well because I like the stems in there, but you know, feel free to go through and pick it if you want. And the parsley in here gives it just a really nice zingy, fresh vibrancy that's just incredible. About the same of fresh coriander. If you don't like coriander, feel free to just use more parsley, absolutely fine. And again, just keep going through it until it's nice and fine. I should have picked some fresh mint for this as well, and I've just realised I forgot. And now it's too dark. So yeah, if you've got fresh mint, bang some of that in. Whenever I've had tabbouleh, it's been made with lemon juice, but I'm going to use lime. So I'm just going to roll it on top of the board, and putting some pressure on the lime helps break the cells down, so you get more juice out of it. But the lime's going to go really nicely with the coriander as well. But you know, feel free to use lemon. If you want to be wild, you could even use grapefruit juice. Put the juice in a sec, but I'm just going to give a good drizzle of olive oil, lots of salt and pepper. And I'll do, yeah, I think I'll do the whole lime. And then just go in with my hands and mix everything together. Depending on where you go, you'll see tabbouleh's either vivid green with little scatters of wheat, or sometimes it's more like this. If you've got the amount of herbs that you can use that much, go for it. I envy you. You can put peppers in here, anything you want. Check the mushrooms. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. So the tempeh's gone kind of golden brown. It's a good sign. We are ready to do some eating. So I dotted a little bit of garlic butter on top of the mushroom, and then put it in, I think it was like 2 minutes at 180, just to get the butter melted. So yeah, that's looking delicious. And there's the tabbouleh. Try and get that into shot for you, but you can see the mushrooms cooked all the way through. But I think most of that was from when we did it on its own, you know, in the first cook. Bon appetit. That gets better every time you chew it. Oh wow, when you first bite into it, you get kind of burst from the mushroom. Then you get the herby garlic butter. Then you get the pine nut. And then there's a tempeh there in the background. Oh, wow. That's stunning. I was a bit worried that I was putting too much fat in there because of the cheese and the butter and the nuts, but no, it's perfect because the fats are kind of combining with the mushroom juice and making a slightly thickened liquid. Oh, yes. Have a bite of the tabbouleh. I know it tastes incredible, but yeah, and together. The mushroom and the stuffing are very rich and kind of deep flavours, and the tabbouleh is very fresh and light and vibrant. I think the longest part of the prep was crumbling the tempeh, so if you're not so bothered about it looking crumbly, feel free to just go in with a knife, maybe slice it, then slice it again, and then just keep slicing it, a bit like I did for the herbs. That'll make it much faster. I mean, that's a great midweek dinner. You know, if you get home from work and you're shattered. So you could potentially cook the mushrooms in the morning and then put everything on and then just have it in the fridge ready to be slid into the air fryer. You could have a try at putting the mushrooms in raw, you know, and then putting the topping on. Let's say 150 for 15-20 minutes, and just keep checking it to make sure the tempeh is not burning. You can definitely do those in the oven, 170, 180, that kind of temperature in the oven. Higher if it's not a fan assist, but that's just an incredible way of using tempeh. Ooh. If you don't like mushrooms, don't worry, you could do that in a pepper. You could even do some rice or couscous at the bottom and then put the tempeh on top. So either cut it in half or keep it on its bottom and slice the top off. Then you can put the top back on, and then it's a very cute looking little thing. You could do that in a big, you know, like the beef tomatoes that you can get, it would work in there. Aubergine, if you can get any of the small squashes, pumpkin, that kind of thing, that'd probably work quite well. Hit subscribe and tap the bell icon for more midweek vegan dinners that are absolutely stunning. And then head over to this one.